Is that Sprite not only winning a regional, playing one of the oldest tech choices in the books? Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Now, I gotta tell you, out of this regional, this is some of the craziest stuff I have seen rolling around out here, because Sprite was actually your heaviest represented deck out of this top cut. Now, Sprite has actually kind of been kicking things off relatively strongly out here. I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten that Sprite was a deck, but this deck has some incredibly strong ways to kind of control things. Also, you know, having access to the adventure package, it's actually really funny because, you know, almost sitting into 2025, the adventure package is kind of getting some love yet again. Now, we also had, the rest of this regional is kind of one-offs. We had one Ubel variant, don't forget damage reflection, the deck, basically Fiend Toolbox, going through all of these incredibly strong lines of play to control your opponent. Very, very good. We also had a Fire King variation, which is funny because that's it. That was your Snake Eyes variation, was what we have going on here with that. We also had one Tenpai. Tenpai actually kind of starting to get threatening roared out of the game, which is kind of funny to be seeing right now. I cannot say that I'm surprised to see that change in the power scaling here, but that's interesting. We also had a Ritual Beast deck. Oh, okay. Hi, Ritual Beast. You know, this deck took the YCS by storm as one of the strongest rogue contenders to kind of enter into the room. So to see that we've kind of had this shift in power scaling, I think it's very, very nice. We also had Purely. Oh, no. It's not a good sign, at least in my opinion, when the format is starting to see that dial back out here and you're seeing Purely returning back to the room. And I think the coolest surprise out of this regional, besides Skull Lair seeing play, we'll talk about that here in a second, was Flaunderies entering back into the room out here. And you're getting to see the birds actually control the opponents out of the game. And you know what? I'm happy to see it. Let's pass on over to deck list. Winning our event here was none other than Sprite Adventure. Now, for those of you that have been paying attention to kind of the innovations that this deck has been going through, well, the adventure package is back. It is now, you know, you're able to kind of put this monster on the field, go into the turn with a decent amount of protection, and that protection is going to, you know, get you to where you need to be. Also, I cannot emphasize enough out here that this deck is playing a copy of Skull Lair down here in the side deck. And I guarantee you, half of you have forgotten or have never seen Skull Lair before. And you're just like, oh, no way. And to the old duelist out here, if you know, you know. This card was a major contender with Bazoo. And that is so hilarious to be seeing. But you know what? For as much as this deck is kind of a returning challenger to the meta, I know a lot of people were just like, oh, hey, you know, Sprite's back. Yeah, it really is. And I look forward to seeing how much more Sprite will be able to contend with the meta. We have Ritual Beast shenanigans for you. Now, this build is doing triple Book of Eclipse, triple Dark Ruler No More, triple Evenly Matched. That's right. You are going to be using all of these power cards at your disposal to shut your opponent out of the game. All right. Evenly Matched is going to be your equalizer. Dark Ruler No More is going to ensure that if your opponent's got a bunch of stupid cards on the field, they're going to be taken care of. And Book of Eclipse is going to be that secondary option to clean up all of those options so that you can set up your board so that you can, you guessed it, everybody, play the game. All right, we are at the point right now that a deck like this, also returning back to the game, I think Ritual Beast is not as surprising to see as, you know, Sprite coming back. But the fact that these two decks, we have these options to do things. Also, you know, we are playing Protoss and then we are doing Escantos down here in the side deck. You have access to both of the big Chungas to clear fields. Okay, next up here we have our Tenpai Dragon list. This build is playing the Dogi Dogi Drago, which is interesting. 2 Genrokus, 2 Fodras, so we are clutching on to those key cards. I do see we are still doing triple Shifter. I look forward to seeing Shifter kind of get power pushed out of this deck in the near future, which is going to be hilarious to see. I also see we are doing 2 Regeki, 2 Droplet, and 2 Lightning Storms. So we are going with a straight across the board. And then we're doing 1 Fulawars, 2 Perulia. Okay, well, the big thing that Tenpai kind of has to endure right now is, you know, Fu is not as good with this, because a lot of the time your opponent's just going to kind of take a second to dial back things and just chill for a turn. And Tenpai, if you get Threatening Roared, well, you're kind of calling it a day, which is really, really sad, actually. But that's just how the cookie crumbles right now. I see we are doing heat waves down here as well, and we also have different dimension grounds. Ooh, this duelist was really taking some of those cool options and building some good boards. All right, next up is another sprite variation. The fact that Sprite got first and fourth place. You know, the Sprite deck did not fall off by any stretch of the imagination. No, it still had an incredibly strong placement out here. All right, which is so interesting to see. Now, this build was playing the Melfi cards, which gives you access to make the Herald if you need to, which I do think is fine. You also have access to make, what is it, the Melfis of the Forest, which is cool. But once again, I mean, I think our other build was kind of doing things a little bit better. That adventure package just feels stronger. Yeah, the Melfi package does put an Omni on the field, pretty much in the same way with less cards. But I feel like the adventure package just gets you more free advantage and more follow-up. Like, if you can't end your opponent on one turn, this deck needs to be able to do things on the next turn, and you can very, very easily do that with that build. All right, ooh, we have our Flunderies deck, 5th place out here. I see, first of all, I'm happy to see Lose One Turn actually showing up. Lose One Turn is a hilarious card that if a deck like this actually has the chance to play, you actually just get free punishing effects on your opponent. And you know what? You don't even have to look at skill drain because it doesn't punish you. All right, this deck is not special summoning unless a really weird situation where you have a lot of birds and you have to progressively make like a Fucho or something to not lose the game. It does not come up as much as you think it does. I do see, however, we are main decking 2 Featherstorms, citing the 3rd. We do have the Magic Reflector down there. I actually wonder how much that actually came up. We are main decking 1 Dark Ruler, citing the other. That's kind of cute. I guess you could thrust into a Dark Ruler if you really need to. Don't underestimate those multi-purposing cards yet again. Being able to stunt your opponent from advancing game state is always going to be something that Flu is going to look to do. Okay. Ooh, our Fire King variant. You know what's really funny about this? This is all the way back here. This is all the way back in 6th place, which is so hilarious to see because, you know, Fire King Snake Eyes was so strong, but you take a look at the progressiveness of this format, and it's just been getting pushed further back out here. I do see that we are doing 1 Sinful Spoils Deception, 1 Sacred or Hollowed Azamina, which is fine. In this build, you're already playing 45 cards. You are not trying to maximize numbers, you know, even harder. What we are doing here, though, is we're trying to be as consistent as we can, and 2 Ukulonics, 1 Garunix, 1 Big Garunix, 2 Karens, which is fine, but this deck, sometimes it does have a really terrible time with drawing some of the most unoptimal hands that you could ever actually expect to see. Also, we are side decking the Threatening Roar because I do not want to lose to the BS. That is Tenpai, but hey, you know what? This looks incredibly good. All right, what else we got back here? Ooh, we have Purely main decking triple big balls. Well, you know, I understand the Purely players are sick of losing to these incredibly big boards. So many people just put so many stupid large monsters on the field, so you're just going to be able to spear mode, you know, clean up whatever your opponent's doing, and then special summon a Purely monster, and then go ahead and set up the big cat. Like, congratulations, you committed your normal summon to do what you need to do with this deck. Also, you know, we have the Kashtira stuff. You'll be able to play mid-range control. That's one of the reasons why this deck is still so good, is because once you get those mid-range control options going, your opponent just looks at you and goes, what am I supposed to do about this? You know, it really is just that snowball effect. Once you get things going, it's really, really strong. Outside of that, this looks pretty gosh darn good. And I will tell you, this is the good stuff, man. All right. Ooh, we also have our Yubel player all the way back here. Now, this Yubel variation was getting a little bit spicy out here. We were playing Hollowed and Deception in this deck because this deck was trying to find ways to put some very strong monsters on the field so that they don't lose the game, which is fine, actually. I don't personally have an issue with a deck like this trying to explore and try to innovate itself, because Yubel, up until the YCS, was not exactly having the best time out here. So to see, you know, we have these innovation lines kind of coming together is cool. Like, it's still Yubel at the end of the day. People are still going to explore this deck, and I like what I'm seeing out here. So please, Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about the breakdown for this event. And I look forward to seeing your beautiful faces back here in day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.